Hi everyone, and welcome to APT University. Today we'll be discussing the vendor quotes function in Advanced Pro. We will be taking some questions at the end of the presentation, so if you have any questions as we go along, feel free to put them into the Questions tab on your GoToWebinar control panel. Also, feel free to check out our previous APTU presentations on advancedprotech.com under the Resources tab, or on our YouTube channel. So the vendor quote is a function in Advanced Pro designed to send a form requesting quotes off to a vendor of a particular product. So this way you can actually save the quote as it gets received, correct any prices on it, and then place it as a purchase order and then send it off to be received. So at this point, we're going to jump into Advanced Pro, and we'll show you how this works. So we'll go ahead and jump straight into the software. So to follow along in Advanced Pro, it will be important that you have your products and your vendors added, and that the products are linked to vendors, at least one, potentially more than one vendor. So at this point, to start a vendor quote, go to the vendor dashboard by clicking the tab along the top of the screen and click on the vendor quotes button on the right hand side under the other header. So this is going to open up a screen similar to a vendor order, but you're not required to choose which vendor up front. So we can choose one vendor, for example. We can add a product that vendor sells. We can run a search for the products that vendor is selling. And I'll go ahead and choose a product off of this list. Now, at this point, go ahead and choose one of these products. At this point, we can then send a form or email a form to get the correct price. The price is going to pre-populate with your saved prices. So I'm going to go ahead and hit the Save button. And then I'm going to go ahead and print this off so you can see. We can also use the email feature to email this off to the vendor. So this is going to allow us to send off a form here. You'll see it's a lot different from our purchase order. It's requesting that the vendor send back a price and an ETA date. And that way we can go ahead and fill out these details here on the quote before we go ahead and place it as a purchase order. So we can go ahead and close this, and we can hit the Create VPO button when we've received our price back. And this will convert this from a quote to a purchase order. Now you might want to send out a quote to multiple vendors. As long as this item is linked to different vendors, you can go and change that vendor, hit the email button. As long as this item is linked to that vendor, you're going to be able to email off another version of this quote request form to that other vendor. Then when you get the quotes back, you'll be able to make adjustments to this quotation, choose which vendor kind of won the quote, and go ahead and create a vendor purchase order for that item. If you wind up splitting the items, if you have several items on a quote and only some of the items are going to be purchased from that vendor, you would go ahead and remove those items just hitting the garbage can button. And from that, you'll be able to just place the order for the items you're taking from one vendor. You would go place a vendor purchase order with the second or third vendors separately. Okay, so that's just a little bit about how you might go ahead splitting apart a quote that you sent to several vendors. Let's go ahead and save this. We'll hit the Create VPO button. And now if we want to take a look at that order, we're going to go to the Vendor Orders dashboard, either here on the quick navigation bar or in the vendor dashboard under View All Orders. And we have these different stages that we can take a look at. We've got quotations, we've got open orders, which is what we've just converted our order to. So that's right here. We can go and open that up as a vendor order, and we can email it off as a purchase order to that vendor. And then finally, if we want, we can hit Save and Place Order. That's going to send it over to the warehouse dashboard for receiving. For more details on that, you might want to take a look at our video on the vendor order, receiving, and the vendor bill. We'll go ahead and back out of that. Now, if we want to take a look at our old quotations, if someone has sent back one of our request for quotes with their quotation, we'll come into the quotations area. We can just click on these filters to view these different order stages. We can open up that quotation and we can start to make adjustments to it like we were earlier. So that just gives us a little bit of a look at the vendor quotation features and how we can request quotes from our vendors. If you have any questions at all about these topics, feel free to put them into the questions tab on your GoToWebinar. This is going to conclude our quick tour of the vendor quote feature. We will be hanging on for just a moment if there's any questions that pop up. Otherwise, thank you all for watching and have a great afternoon. And seeing no further questions, we're going to wrap up. Thank you very much.